Marker.
What parish are you from?
Beauregard mostly.
What was it like growing up in Beauregard Parish?
I don't know if I have what you would consider the normal experience because I mostly didn't interact with the community. So for me, what I did interact with was wild.
And what age were you first introduced to being trafficked?
5 years old.
And how old are you now?
22.
Who was it that was trafficking you?
My grandparents.
Were you in a situation where people bought you? And if so, who was that?
That's a tricky thing because I wasn't even technically bought. I was more with an organization that they used as child prostitution, but like I was still being cared for by my grandparents, you know? So I wasn't technically bought, but I was used as the labor portion, if that makes sense. I was more so used as a tool. I guess lease is the best way of putting it.
So what does being labor trafficked look like?
That depends on where you're labor trafficked at, because some labor traffics go into sex trafficking as well, but if you're lucky, you'll get the farm traffic, and if you're really lucky, you'll get a farm that feeds you well and doesn't beat the shit out of its tools, aka your tools. And effectively, you don't get time to do any of your normal kid things. Like, you don't get time to study, you don't get time to do your schoolwork, you're struggling making that shit by. And this is if you still have, like me, a special case. The government took me from my parents and put me with my grandparents, so they still had to keep somewhat tabs on me. That's the only reason I got to be lucky enough to have some sort of education. Without that, I would have been completely struggling behind everybody. But that helped make my survival chances higher because people had to make sure that I wasn't actually dying. They were obligated to do so. A lot of kids aren't that lucky. And so if you're not lucky, you get beaten, you get starved, you might just get left out in the field at some point. And honestly, if it's during the sun time, you're probably going to be dead of a heat stroke before they come back to check on you. You're just another little thing, honestly.
And in situations like that, how did the traffickers keep control over you?
For me specifically, it was threats of those that I cared for around me, like my brother or other people in the trafficking that were kids as well. And you can't help but form a bond to people that's going through the same things you're going through.
Through all of this, how were you able to get out of your situation?
Honestly, I just kept drawing people's attention after a certain point because you're always told to be quiet, especially growing up in the South. That's how family keeps their secrets. I got to be a very vocal child, and a lot of my stuff is still written off as, oh, she was just making it up. But it was enough to get me out of there. I sounded enough alarm bells, I told enough people that eventually they just viewed me as too much of a problem to keep, and great, honestly. My advice is just be loud, be vocal. When they tell you to shut up, scream louder at opportune times.
How did the Southwest Louisiana Abolitionists help you through all this?
Oh, they got me out of domestic trafficking. I got put back with my birth parents, and that's when trafficking gets a little trickier because a lot of times what you think of is sex trafficking and labor. And that is a very bad form of human trafficking. But it's not the only form. A more common form is actually domestic trafficking, where they'll keep hold of your documents. Like for me, it was my birth certificate, social security card, anything that had my name on it. And I need those to be able to prove who I am. So I had to grab my social security card and just get in touch with really some friends that got in touch with Rusty and the others from Southwest Abolitionist group. That was great for me because with the fact that I had my social security card, they took me down to New Orleans. They got me a copy of my birth certificate, and from there things started falling into place. I got my first ID from that, and that was spectacular.
So would you say that you are different now than you were when you first got out?
Oh, absolutely. I didn't even think we were going to get my birth certificate. I thought I got out and I was still just going to struggle to survive. And then I got my birth certificate and then I got my ID, and it's like, I can get a job and open a bank account now.
So how did that feel to have that newfound freedom?
It was great. It was the fact of the matter is that I don't have to rely on somebody else for my own meals anymore. I can pay my own rent. I don't have somebody bossing me around in my house because they put all the arbitrary rules and I have to. Domestic trafficking is typically where you take care of the household. I cooked supper, I cleaned the house, I did all the things. I took care of childcare. I was an unpaid nanny. It's the best way to put it. And so being able to do these for just me, without being told constantly, and without having to go behind people who don't care if they leave a mess, don't clean up as they go, and intentionally make your life harder, it's great. Because it's even the little things, like you couldn't go to the bathroom like without somebody having to keep watch effectively, because like you could just disappear and nobody, if they don't keep close eyes on you, can really say anything because you're a full-grown adult. And so they have to keep you on a shorter leash, and so you have to ask permission for everything. That's the biggest thing. Not having to ask for permission to go to the bathroom, to go take out garbage, to go do little simple things, and having full freedom to do these tasks however you wish. It's wonderful.
With all this newfound freedom and adulting you're able to do now, what are your plans for life?
I don't have it figured out for the long term at the moment. I'm just trying to get as stable as I can. And I'm doing that at the moment via military because they will help me pay for college and other such things. And so I'm going to do 6 years in the military. My contract's 3 years. I'd have a few months and some days left over of they could call me back to service if I didn't re-up. So I'm just going to do a minimum 6 years. And after that, if I go the full 20, I go the full 20. But during that time, I'm going to be saving up money and trying to get myself set the way I want to be set.
What would you like to say to anyone trapped in human trafficking currently?
While I say be loud and be vocal, be loud but smart. You can't just tell everybody and anybody, because a lot of times that comes back right back to your trafficker, especially if your trafficker is your family. You've got to tell people who are obligated to report and obligated to take that stuff seriously. Or you got to build trust and report with these people, which takes some time. And basically just try to make yourself a nuisance. Not so much of a problem that they need to get rid of you ASAP, but enough of a problem that you're a liability to keep. And they might just throw you out like trash. It's the best option you got, honestly.
So what would you like to say to anyone who's thinking of getting involved in fighting human trafficking?
It's a wonderful cause, and if we did it, we could 100% stop it. Because if a kid can get out on their own by just being a problem, if there's people looking for this kid being a problem, that would have been so much easier. That's the important thing for people that's outside of it, even if you're not actively fighting it, to just stay on the lookout. It's the littlest places. It's not just the city, it's the small towns too. I grew up in a place where there was one post office and a convenience store. That's it. And it happens there. It happens from anywhere from there to New Orleans. You just gotta stay sharp, I guess.
What's something you want to say?
I don't really have much, but I will say that spite gets you farther than hope. I was a very angry child, and that's half the reason I'm here. If you are 100% hopeless, stay angry. Let me explain. I would have given up on my own life multiple times if I hadn't have been aware of the fact that this would make other people's lives easier. Their problems, me, disappears when I take myself out the equation. I'm going to live and do better than they would ever dream I could do just to prove them wrong. And somewhere along the way, you start doing it for yourself.